So in today's video, we're going to be talking about how you guys can trade with the Champions League heroes this week. So just before the video does start, a quick little ad on a trading service I offer over on Twitch for the cheapest trading guides out there for just £4, €4, all free with Amazon Prime. You'll receive daily trading and investing guides covering PlayStation, Xbox and PC with an array of methods covering all budgets. And I've been trading for over 10 years, making over 100 million in multiple different FIFAs, and now for the last 4 years I've made 10 million coins in just the first month. So in today's video, what we're going to be doing is talking about how you guys can trade with the Champions League heroes this week, because there was really good money on last year's World Cup heroes, and we're going to teach you guys how to trade with this year's heroes in the likes of the Champions League ones this year. Now I'm going to be walking you guys through two different trends. There's one trend which is a lot more risky, but at the same time it can make you coins very fast. It's just basically high risk, high reward. And then we've got the second trend, which is a lot less risky, and it's basically just following the very consistent patterns we saw last year. So the first trend we're going to be talking about is flipping the cards within the first 24 hours of them coming out. So there's a relatively consistent trend when it comes to promo cards, and basically what happens is during the NA Lightning rounds overnight, these promo cards become nice and cheap. And this kind of happens because there's a high increase in supply with basically a low active demand. This is because the Lightning rounds during the NA sort of hours are all being opened, as much as they are in the EU hours. But on the other hand, there's a lot less people playing the game because, of course, the main demographic for FIFA is Europe. I think it's like England and Germany, basically, are the main ones. So when they're asleep over the early hours of EU, but packs being opened in the like midday to late hours of NA, what happens is there's a very heavy increase in supply, but the demand isn't there. And then as basically EU wakes up, the demand increases, but the supply doesn't really increase because there's no real lightning rounds before 6 PM on the Saturday. So what happens is, again, packs are open on the Friday, and the cards are all up and down, up and down, up and down. So a lot less consistent, the first trend in the first few hours. Morning for EU, which is midday to sort of evening for NA, and then they'll rise from morning EU all the way through to about 2-3 PM, and then they'll go down in anticipation of the packs on Saturday for like 6 PM. So I'll show you this trend happening last year. Now again, it's relatively consistent. So if we go look at the 14-day average, we can see that the likes of Rivaldo became quite expensive midnight, but then he dropped hour after hour after hour, all the way through to about 4 AM EU time. He then proceeded to rebound from 1.4 million to 1.7 million in just a few hours. Now I'd recommend kind of selling these cards between about midday to 1 PM. 1 PM is, I'd say, on average the peak of every day. Again, some cards peak in the evening, some cards potentially peak at like 7 AM in the morning. But my rough sort of sell recommendation time for give or take anything, like live cards I'll always recommend at 1 PM the day they play. Promo cards, Team of the Weeks, a lot of these cards normally do peak around about midday to 1 PM. We can see right here, he basically had a rise of 300k. Now, it did go back down again, but even if you're selling at 1.52 million, you're still turning over a nice profit. And obviously, he would have gone lower than 1.4, but that's the average. Now, you weren't actually losing coins until... The reality is you weren't really losing coins unless you're at a hold till Sunday morning with the likes of Rivaldo. We can do the exact same trend here with Kluivert. We can see that again, he became cheap around about 3-4 o'clock EU. He went from 128k and then spiked all the way there to 151. So obviously a nice rise of 24k within a few hours. We can see once again peaking at 12 midday. He then went down to 141 even at 1 PM, but even if you were to go and buy at 128 and sell at 141, we're still looking at a 13k difference, 7k tax, and you're taking home around about 5-6k profit. And again, you could have got higher than that average. Now, there was obviously a lot more of a burn if you didn't sell before 6, and again, we can see right here that they're being panic sold going to 6. It doesn't take an increase in supply for someone to drop. It takes either panic selling or an increase in supply. If we look at Veron, we're looking at about 2-3 o'clock in the morning. We've got 105k here, and then he rose up there to 113. So again, the profit would have been crazy, but he did obviously have a rise there. But the reality is that the hit rate, I mean, I wouldn't be touching these super expensive cards like Zidane and Maldini. I'd try and keep it to the cheaper cards such as Hagi, Veron, Kluivert. I guess Rivaldo maybe is the exception to high value cards that went up. But you can see right here that there were nice trends. There were cards that were a bit break-even-ish, and then there were cards that there was a bit of a loss on. And again, on average, these were cheapest around about 2 AM to the likes of 4 AM. The one thing I would say is, again, these are quite high risk, but this is a trend that is very consistent with cards being cheap in the AM of Europe and then rising till about midday 1 PM is just, you can't guarantee it. I mean, this market in general this year isn't the most fun because trends aren't 100% consistent across the board for even players at the same sort of price range. Like, we saw a good rebound on Kluivert, but we didn't see a great rebound on Veron, which is why when you see traders do this trend, they'll always diversify their investment, because some players flop, some players do well, but on average you should be turning over profit. The second trend is a lot nicer, and it's a lot less risky, and that is basically buying these Champions League heroes on the Sunday evening / Monday morning. So again, it's around about 10 PM on the Sunday through to early AM on the Monday. Now, the reason these cards get very cheap is because this is normally when the lightning rounds start really tailing off, and because the lightning rounds start tailing off, the increase in supply after 6 PM isn't as bad every day. So we can see this trend occurring last year with even cheap players like Carvalho. We can see he was the cheapest here on the Monday at 180, and then we can see he rose it up there to 212 by the likes of the following weekend. And then another example right here of the likes of Forlan. We can see Forlan right there did fall in to 760, and then he rebounded later in the week, Thursday. We can see right there, Thursday, Friday, decent peaks. Would have been up to around about 840, so turning over, I believe it would have been about 30-40k a card right there. And the exact same trend here with Vola. Cheapest on the Monday, 830k, and rebounded there to 950k on the Thursday. So Thursday, Friday sales are looking decent with the likes of heroes. So again, we'd be looking at picking them up Sunday evening / Monday early morning, and then I'd go and sell them Thursday evening to Friday around about 11 PM. Sorry, 11 AM through to around about 1 PM. And that is what I'd say is the trends with the likes of heroes. Now again, I wouldn't really want to hold on to them for 2 weeks, just because the consistent trend last year was actually they dropped when Team 2 of the heroes came out, and I think they'll be comparable to this week having a hero promo, and next week having an icon promo. Now of course this isn't as safe as like buying fodder, and this isn't as safe as buying Team of the Weeks when they're discard, and arguably maybe it's not even as safe as buying the likes of Team of the Weeks on the Sunday. But for those that are interested in hero trading, there is some decent money, because again, you've got to remember, we're only looking at the daily average. So if the market did get really cheap on that Monday, you know, he probably would have gone below 800k. And again, if we're looking at the peaks here on the Thursday, he probably would have surpassed about 970. It's just he might have been a slow riser from the morning. So like, something to bear in mind is that arguably these could undersell the profits, because, you know, we're looking at the average of the day, not the most optimal buy times, which once again is around about 10 PM on the Sunday through to very early hours on the Saturday, and that is GMT time. But that is going to wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you guys tomorrow with a brand new video.